Dr. James Stone stared at the holographic display floating before him, his four eyes blinking in sequence as he reviewed his decades of research. The gentle hum of his observation station, orbiting quietly in the dark space beyond Pluto, had become a comforting companion over the years. As the leading cynoanthropologist of the Stellar Council, he had dedicated his life to understanding Earth's dominant species, humans. Today would mark his 178th presentation to the Council, and like the previous ones, he feared they would ignore his warnings. His tentacles moved swiftly across the control panel, organizing his findings into a clear presentation format. The evidence was overwhelming, yet his fellow council members remained stubbornly blind to the truth about humans. Recording session 2847. He spoke into his data recorder. Humans have once again demonstrated remarkable adaptability. Following the latest natural disaster in their Pacific region, local communities developed and implemented new survival strategies within days. Their speed of innovation continues to exceed all known species benchmarks. The station's communication system chimed, indicating the council session was about to begin. Stone straightened his formal robe and positioned himself before the transmission array. One by one, the holographic faces of the council members appeared around him, forming a floating circle of the galaxy's most powerful leaders. Honorable members of the Stellar Council, Stone began, his voice steady despite his nervousness. I come before you again with urgent findings regarding Earth and its inhabitants. He noticed several council members already showing signs of disinterest, their secondary appendages twitching in barely concealed annoyance. In the past Earth year alone, humans have overcome 3 major planetary crises. They faced a viral outbreak, adapted their behavior within weeks, and developed countermeasures within months. They experienced severe climate fluctuations yet maintained their food production through rapid agricultural innovations. When faced with an energy crisis, they created new power generation methods in less than a season. High Counselor Reed interrupted, his crystalline form glittering with impatience. Dr. Stone, we have reviewed your previous reports. Humans are a young, barely space-capable species. Their technology is primitive, their society fragmented. What possible threat could they pose to the galactic order? Stone's upper tentacles curled in frustration. That's precisely my point, honored counselor. We keep judging them by conventional standards. But humans don't follow conventional patterns. They thrive on challenges. Every crisis makes them stronger. Their ability to adapt and innovate under pressure is unprecedented. He displayed a series of data charts showing human technological progress over the past century. Look at this curve. No other known species has advanced this rapidly. And here, he switched to another display. Their response time to crisis keeps getting shorter. They're learning, evolving, becoming more efficient at handling threats. Mere survival instinct, dismissed another council member, her gaseous form swirling dismissively. All species adapt or die. No, Stone insisted, his professional composure cracking slightly. Humans don't just adapt to survive. They improve. They take each challenge as a lesson, document it, study it, and prepare for worse scenarios. They actively seek out problems to solve. It's not just survival, it's deliberate evolution. The council chambers fell silent for a moment. Then High Counselor Reed spoke again, his tone final. Dr. Stone, your dedication to your research is admirable, but your conclusions seem colored by excessive contact with your subject species. The Council has decided to proceed with standard first contact protocols. Earth will be offered the usual probationary membership status. But honored Council, Stone protested, standard protocols assume standard responses. Humans are anything but standard. We need to approach them differently, acknowledge their unique capabilities. Thank you, Dr. Stone. Reed cut him off. Your input has been noted. The Council's decision is final. First contact will proceed according to established guidelines. As the holograms winked out one by one, Stone slumped in his chair. He turned to look at the distant speck of blue that was Earth, barely visible through his station's observation window. "They don't understand what they're doing," he muttered to his recorder. "Treating humans like any other species. They're not ready for what will happen when humans feel underestimated." The station's lights dimmed as it entered its night cycle, leaving Stone alone with his thoughts and the weight of his unheeded warnings. The day Earth's sky filled with alien ships, humanity showed a response that confirmed all of Dr. Stone's predictions. Instead of panic, there was preparation. Instead of fear, there was fascination. The humans had already drafted first contact protocols decades ago, just in case. Ambassador Mark Reed watched from the main ship as his delegation descended through Earth's atmosphere. As the Council's chosen representative, he expected to find a primitive civilization awed by their advanced technology. What he found instead was a welcoming committee that had already prepared landing zones, translation systems, and diplomatic procedures. "Remarkable," he muttered, studying the data feeds. "They've even adjusted their air traffic patterns to accommodate our ship's energy fields." Something Dr. Stone had mentioned in his reports nagged at the back of his mind, but Reed dismissed it. After all, he was here to guide these primitives into galactic society, not to admire them. From his observation station, Dr. Stone monitored the proceedings with growing concern. His sensors picked up everything. The subtle movements of human military units staying just out of sight, the hidden scanners analyzing the alien ships, the way human scientists were already taking readings and making calculations. "They're learning," he recorded in his daily log. "Every moment of contact is a lesson for them. The Council thinks they're observing humans, but humans are studying us just as intently." The first meeting took place in a specially constructed facility in Geneva. Reed stood before the United Earth Council, his translator converting his words into all Earth languages simultaneously. "On behalf of the Stellar Council, we welcome Earth into the galactic community," he announced, his tone carrying the practiced condescension of someone addressing a lesser species. "You will be granted probationary status, with limited access to approved technologies and restricted trading rights." Dr. Stone watched the humans' reactions on his monitors. While their faces showed gratitude and excitement, their body language told a different story. He noticed how their eyes tracked every movement of the alien delegation, how their questions seemed carefully chosen to reveal specific information. In the weeks that followed, Earth accepted its minor position with apparent humility. They signed the standard treaties, accepted the trade restrictions, and showed appropriate appreciation for even the smallest technological gifts. But Stone saw what others missed. Late one night, he recorded another observation. "The humans are playing a longer game. Today they received permission to study basic interstellar drive technology. Within hours, their scientists had already identified 3 potential improvements. They didn't mention these to the Council representatives. They're hiding their true capabilities." In his private quarters, Ambassador Reed reviewed the latest reports. Earth was progressing exactly as expected for a primitive species, or so it seemed, but something felt off. The humans learned too quickly, adapted too easily. When given access to alien medical technology, they didn't just use it. They began developing new applications within days. During a routine inspection of a human research facility, Reed noticed something that made him pause. The humans had organized their new alien technology not by type or function, but by potential applications in crisis scenarios. Every piece of knowledge they gained was being evaluated for how it could help them survive different threats. Perhaps, Reed thought, remembering Dr. Stone's warnings, we should have paid more attention to those reports. Dr. Stone, watching all of this unfold, made one final recording that day. "The Council thinks they're being generous, offering humans a minor place in galactic society. They don't realize that humans view this as just the beginning. For the first time in Council history, we've encountered a species that sees restricted access not as a limitation, but as a challenge to overcome. And if there's one thing I've learned about humans, they excel at overcoming challenges." The pieces were being set. The Council's patronizing attitude was planting seeds of determination in humanity's collective consciousness, and in the vast darkness of space, something was approaching that would prove just how right Dr. Stone had been all along. Deep Space Monitoring Station Delta 7 picked up the anomaly first. At the edges of charted space, something was moving, distorting the fabric of reality around it. The station's alien crew followed standard procedures, logging the disturbance and forwarding the data to the Stellar Council's Science Division. Dr. Anna Miller, Earth's representative to the Council's Science Division, studied the readings with growing concern. 6 months into humanity's probationary membership, she had already earned a reputation for seeing patterns others missed. Now those patterns were screaming danger. The anomaly isn't just moving, she explained to her team back on Earth. It's growing. And based on these energy signatures, it's feeding on stellar radiation. Her fingers flew across the holographic display, showing projection models. At this rate, it could destabilize entire star systems. Dr. Stone watched from his station as humans across Earth began mobilizing, even though the Council hadn't officially announced any danger. Research facilities switched to emergency protocols. Military units started running deep space response drills. They were preparing for something the Council hadn't even acknowledged yet. During the next Council meeting, Miller presented her findings. The anomaly will reach populated systems within 6 months, she stated, her voice steadied despite the gravity of her warning. We need to act now. Earth has developed several possible countermeasures. Earth has developed nothing, interrupted one Council member, their crystalline form flickering with dismissive lights. You've barely had access to basic space technology for half a planetary rotation. The Council has handled spatial anomalies for millennia. Ambassador Reed, watching from his position, noticed something odd. The humans in attendance didn't argue. They didn't protest. They simply took notes and left quietly. That should have been his first warning. Back on Earth, Miller met with the United Earth Council in a secret session. They won't listen, she reported. But we've run the simulations. This anomaly is different from anything in their records. It's adaptive, evolving. Traditional containment methods won't work. The Earth Council made its decision. Without announcing their plans to the Stellar Council, humanity began preparing. Factories retooled for emergency production. Scientists worked around the clock, combining their new understanding of alien technology with human innovation. They didn't need permission to save lives. Dr. Stone's observation logs became increasingly urgent. The humans are doing what they do best, preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. They're not waiting for the Council's lead. They're not following protocols. They're doing what needs to be done. In his private chambers, Ambassador Reed reviewed recent reports with growing unease. Earth's industrial output had tripled. Their energy consumption had spiked. Yet officially, they were still operating under basic technology restrictions. They're hiding something, he realized. But what? The answer came sooner than expected. During a routine technology inspection, Reed discovered a hidden research facility. Inside, humans had reverse-engineered and improved upon every piece of alien technology they'd been given access to. But instead of reporting this violation, he found himself asking questions. How did you know? He asked Miller, who had been called to explain the facility. How did you know you'd need all this? Miller's response sent chills through his crystalline form. Because we've faced extinction-level threats before. We survived because we were prepared. We survived because we never waited for someone else to save us. As the anomaly grew closer, Dr. Stone made one final attempt to warn the Council. The humans are right, he insisted. This threat is different. We need their perspective, their ability to innovate, their way of thinking outside established patterns. But the Council had made their decision. They would handle the anomaly their way, following their protocols, using their methods. They remained blind to the fact that Earth was already 10 steps ahead, preparing for the moment when those methods would fail. And in the darkness between the stars, the anomaly continued to grow, unaware it was about to encounter something the galaxy had never seen before: humanity, at its most determined. The first colony fell without warning. The spatial anomaly, now split into dozens of smaller distortions, tore through the Stellar Council's defensive networks like they weren't even there. On the colony world of Blue Haven, 10 million aliens watched their twin suns begin to flicker and die. Containment barriers failing. The Council's emergency broadcast echoed across all channels. Energy-dampening fields ineffective. All ships retreat to safe distance. Dr. Stone watched in horror as the Council's mighty fleet, the most powerful armada in known space, fired weapon after weapon into the anomaly. Nothing worked. Their energy weapons were absorbed. Their matter disruption beams passed straight through. Centuries of technological advancement meant nothing against this new threat. In the Council's emergency chamber, Ambassador Reed stood before the assembled leaders, his crystalline form dulled with stress. 3 colony worlds lost in 7 days, he reported. Standard protocols have failed. The anomaly is learning, adapting. Every defense we deploy becomes useless within hours. Dr. Miller sat quietly in the back of the chamber, tablet in hand, watching the Council's greatest minds scramble for solutions they should have considered months ago. Her own tablet blinked with encrypted messages from Earth, status reports on humanity's preparations. The Council's defense grid is operating at maximum capacity, one Council member announced, their gaseous form swirling with agitation. We must maintain our established strategies. They have served us for millennia. And they're not working now, Miller interrupted, standing up. Every alien eye turned to her. The anomaly isn't following your rules. It's not behaving like anything in your records. We need to try something different. Silence. The High Counselor's voice boomed through the chamber. Earth has no authority to. The chamber's main display suddenly flared red. Another colony was under attack. The anomaly had split again, and now hundreds of spatial distortions were spreading across Council space like a virus. On his observation station, Dr. Stone recorded everything. The Council's greatest weakness, he spoke into his log, is their belief that their way is the only way. They'd forgotten how to adapt. But humans never forgot. Deep in Earth's secret facilities, ships were launching. Not the simple vessels the Council had approved, but hybrid craft combining alien technology with human innovation. They carried weapons designed to evolve mid-battle, shields that could rewrite their own frequencies, and crews trained to think in ways the Council had long abandoned. Ambassador Reed discovered the truth by accident. During another emergency session, he noticed Dr. Miller sending coded transmissions. Following the data trail, he found something impossible. "You've been preparing for this since first contact," he said, confronting her after the session. Miller didn't deny it. "We knew something would come eventually, something your protocols couldn't handle. It always does." "How?" Reed's crystalline form flickered with confusion. "How could you know?" "Because it's our history," Miller explained. "Every time humanity faced extinction, we survived by doing the impossible. Ice ages, plagues, climate disasters. We adapted. We evolved. We survived. And now we'll do it again." As if to punctuate her words, another emergency alert blared. The anomaly had reached one of the Council's core worlds. Millions more lives hung in the balance. In the observation station, Dr. Stone made his final log entry before leaving his post of 30 years. The Council thought they were testing humanity by giving them limited technology. Instead, humanity was testing them, learning their weaknesses, preparing for the moment when the old ways would fail. Now that moment has come. He looked one last time at the Earth, no longer a distant subject of study, but perhaps the galaxy's last hope. The Council is about to learn why humans are different. They don't just face challenges. They overcome them. And they're about to show the galaxy exactly what that means. The Council's proud capital world, Luminara, burned. Its legendary crystal spires, which had stood for 10,000 years, shattered one by one as spatial distortions tore through the planet's defense grid. The evacuation ships filled the sky like a swarm of desperate insects, each carrying thousands of refugees. In the chaos of the emergency council session, Dr. Miller's tablet lit up with a single message from Earth: Operation Phoenix authorized. She stood up quietly and walked to the center of the chamber, where the council's leaders argued over failed strategies. Earth requests permission to assist, she announced, her voice cutting through the panic. The chamber fell silent. We have ships ready. We have weapons designed specifically for this threat. We have been preparing since day one. High Counselor Reed, who had finally begun to understand the truth about humans, spoke first. What do you mean, ships ready? Earth was only authorized for basic space vessel construction. Miller's response was bold. We never only built what we were authorized to build. We built what we knew we'd need. At that moment, Earth's hidden fleet dropped their cloaking fields. 500 ships appeared in strategic positions across Council space, not the primitive vessels the Council had expected, but advanced warships combining the best of human innovation with reverse-engineered alien technology. From his new position aboard Earth's command ship, Dr. Stone watched his predictions come true. The humans didn't just copy our technology, he recorded, they improved it. They saw possibilities we never imagined. The first demonstration of Earth's preparedness came at the Battle of New Dawn Colony. As another spatial distortion approached the populated world, 3 Earth ships moved into position. Their weapons didn't try to destroy the anomaly. They adapted to it. With each shot, their energy signatures shifted, learning from the anomaly's responses, evolving their attack patterns. Impossible, whispered a council member, watching the feeds. Their weapons are learning? No, Miller corrected. Their weapons were designed to learn, just like we learn, just like we adapt, just like we survive. The council watched in amazement as Earth's fleet coordinated across vast distances, each ship's tactical computers running battle simulations and sharing data in real time. When one approach failed, they didn't repeat it. They evolved, adapted, found new solutions. Ambassador Reed, now serving as emergency liaison between Earth and the Council, finally understood what Dr. Stone had tried to tell them years ago. Your entire species, he said to Miller during a brief quiet moment, thinks differently than we do. You don't just follow protocols. You create new ones as needed. We had to, Miller replied, reviewing battle data on her tablet. Our whole history is one of adapt or die. We never had the luxury of doing things the same way for thousands of years. We had to change to evolve, to find new solutions. That's what kept us alive. In the space above Luminara, Earth's ships formed a defensive line against the largest anomaly cluster yet detected. Their hulls gleamed with a new type of energy shielding, one that could reconfigure itself based on the threat it faced. Inside each vessel, human crews worked alongside adapted alien technology, their quick decisions and innovative thinking giving their ships capabilities the Council had never imagined possible. Dr. Stone, watching from the command ship, made a new log entry. The Council thought they were being generous, giving humanity a small place in their galaxy. They never realized that humanity wasn't looking for a place in their system. They were preparing to save it. As the battle for Luminara began, the Council finally had to face a hard truth. They needed humanity not despite their differences, but because of them. The species they had dismissed as primitive was about to show the galaxy what humans did best: face impossible odds and find a way to win. The stars themselves seemed to tremble as Earth's fleet engaged the spatial anomalies in full force. No longer holding back, no longer hiding their capabilities, humans fought with everything they had. Each ship captain had full authority to adapt tactics on the fly, a concept that horrified the Council, but proved devastatingly effective. Look at how they move, Dr. Stone commented to Ambassador Reed as they watched the battle displays. Each ship acts independently but stays part of the whole, like a swarm of bees defending their hive. The Council's Emergency Command Center had been relocated to Earth's underground military headquarters, a vast complex that had been secretly built years ago. Here, Dr. Miller coordinated with fleet commanders, her hands dancing across holographic controls as she directed humanity's response. Battle Group Alpha, your shields are learning from the anomaly's energy signature, she called out. Share that data with the rest of the fleet. Beta Group, push forward with the new frequency. Gamma Group, prepare to test the resonance weapon. Ambassador Reed watched in amazement as human ships executed maneuvers his people had never even imagined. When conventional weapons failed, they improvised. When shields couldn't hold, they adapted them. When standard tactics proved useless, they created new ones. We're not just fighting the anomalies, Miller explained during a brief break. We're learning from them. Each engagement teaches us something new. Each failure shows us a new possibility. The turning point came at the Battle of the Seven Stars. A massive anomaly cluster threatened an entire sector of Council space. Traditional forces had already retreated, leaving 7 populated systems seemingly doomed. But humanity had other plans. Launch Operation Prometheus, Miller ordered. Across the battlefield, Earth's ships moved into a formation that made no sense to Council observers. Instead of attacking the anomalies directly, they created a complex web of overlapping energy fields. What are they doing? A Council member demanded. Dr. Stone smiled, his 4 eyes gleaming. They're thinking in 3 dimensions. No, 4 dimensions. Watch. The human fleet's energy web began to pulse in a complex pattern. Each ship adjusted its output based on real-time data from the others. The anomalies, for the first time, began to slow down, then stop, then shrink. The resonance weapon, Miller explained to the stunned Council. We realized the anomalies aren't just eating energy. They have to maintain a specific frequency to exist in our space. So we created a counter-frequency. Ambassador Reed's crystalline form sparkled with sudden understanding. You're not trying to destroy them. We're sending them home, Miller finished. Back to whatever dimension they came from. Across the galaxy, other human battle groups began implementing the same strategy. Ships that had been fighting defensively suddenly switched to a coordinated attack that looked more like a complex dance. Each vessel contributed to the energy web. Each crew adapted their approach based on the results. In the command center, Dr. Stone recorded what he knew would be a historic moment. Humanity didn't just improve our technology, he noted. They changed how we think about using it. They showed us that the best solution isn't always the most powerful one. Sometimes it's the most creative one. The Seven Stars operation succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. Not only were the anomalies driven back, but the method proved repeatable. Within hours, human ships were teaching Council vessels how to modify their systems to join the effort. This is what we do, Miller told Ambassador Reed as they watched the combined fleet drive back the dimensional invaders. We don't just solve problems. We share the solutions. We don't just survive. We help others survive too. Because that's what makes us human. The tide had turned. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their adaptability. It was their determination to protect not just themselves, but everyone else too. 1 month after the Battle of the Seven Stars, the Stellar Council chamber looked very different. The Grand Crystal Hall had been rebuilt, but this time with a new addition, an equal-sized seat for Earth's representatives. The species that had once been granted only probationary status now held full membership, their quick thinking and determination having earned them a permanent place among the stars. Dr. Stone stood before the assembled council, but this time no one showed signs of boredom or dismissal. Every eye, tentacle, and sensory organ was fixed on him with rapt attention. As I tried to explain years ago, he began, his voice carrying across the silent chamber. Humans are unique not because of their technology or their physical capabilities, but because of how they think. They don't just face challenges, they actively seek them out. They don't just solve problems, they prepare for problems that haven't happened yet. Dr. Miller, now serving as Earth's primary ambassador, sat in the new Earth seat with quiet pride. Next to her, Ambassador Reed's crystalline form glowed with a newfound respect for his former probationary species. The spatial anomaly crisis proved what I had observed. Stone continued, displaying data from his decades of research. When faced with an impossible situation, humans don't accept impossibility. They innovate. They adapt. They overcome. And most importantly, they help others do the same. The council chambers filled with holographic displays, showing the aftermath of humanity's intervention. Planets saved, species preserved, and a new defense network being built, one that combined the best of council technology with human innovation. We thought we were teaching them, a council member admitted, their gaseous forms swirling thoughtfully. But they were teaching us all along, teaching us to think differently, to adapt, to evolve. Ambassador Reed stepped forward. I moved to implement Dr. Stone's recommendations for the formation of a new division within the Council, the Department of Innovation and Adaptive Response, to be jointly led by representatives from Earth and the Council. Seconded came the immediate response from multiple members. Dr. Miller activated her own display, showing the plans Earth had already drawn up. We proposed training programs to help other species develop their adaptive capabilities, joint research projects to combine different approaches to problem solving, a rapid response force ready to face unknown threats. Everything we've learned, we want to share. From his new position as Chief of Xenocultural Relations, Dr. Stone watched his life's work bear fruit. The Council wasn't just accepting humanity. They were learning from them, understanding them, growing because of them. But there's one more thing you should know, Miller added, her voice carrying a hint of amusement. We've already started preparing for the next crisis. Whatever it is, whenever it comes, humanity will be ready. And this time, we'll face it together. The council chamber erupted in appreciative gestures from a dozen different species, light displays, chemical signals, and various forms of applause. The galaxy was changing, growing, adapting, just as humanity had always done. In his final research log, Dr. Stone made one last entry. The Council thought they were taking a risk by giving humanity a chance to join galactic society. They never realized that humanity would end up transforming that society for the better. Not through force or superiority, but through their endless drive to improve, to help, to protect. He looked out at the rebuilt chamber, at the mixture of species working together in new ways, at the barriers breaking down between the old and the new. Perhaps that's the greatest truth about humans, he recorded. They don't just change to survive. They help everything around them change too. And in doing so, they make the entire galaxy stronger. As the council session ended, Earth's new status was officially recorded in the galactic archives. But more importantly, a new understanding had been reached. The galaxy had learned what Dr. Stone had known all along, that sometimes the most primitive-looking species could teach the most advanced civilizations how to thrive.